One of my most cherished moments on set occurred when the floating candles ignited the ropes securing them to the ceiling, causing them to descend across the enormous hall. For almost 20 years, the Harry Potter films and novels have captivated audiences, inciting perpetual viewings, discussions, and hypotheses. Dedicated enthusiasts have meticulously examined every frame and page, persuaded they had revealed all the concealed significances and nuanced particulars. Nevertheless, certain truths remain concealed, with nuanced moments and insights emerging later through frank cast interviews, directorial commentary, or elucidations from J.K. Rowling herself. These disclosures were not the evident Easter eggs or story twists that fans readily identified, but rather the neglected masterstrokes, behind-the-scenes narratives and artistic choices that transformed the comprehension of the wizarding world. Join us as we explore several insights revealed by the cast that most fans have overlooked, even after all these years, demonstrating that the enchantment still harbors surprises. Harry Potter phenomenon and the ascendancy of the boy who lived. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone was initially released in bookstores in the United Kingdom in June 1997. It resembled a typical children's fantasy novel. The initial print run was limited to 500 hardback copies, a significant portion of which were allocated to libraries. The English Harry Potter volumes in the Potter Collector Library are stored in a confidential location. Within months, this little novel about an orphan boy who realized he was a wizard began to disseminate through word of mouth, generating a ripple that swiftly escalated into a tidal wave. A narrative initially intended for children evolved into a cultural phenomenon unprecedented in contemporary publication. The ascent of Harry Potter was not immediate fame, but a phenomenon that gradually established its reputation, attracting readers of diverse ages and backgrounds. By the onset of the millennium, the series had evolved into more than merely a compilation of novels. It constituted a movement, an identity, serving as the initial indelible reading experience for several children. The phenomenon it ignited was so extensive and influential that it would define a generation and transform the realm of popular culture. Harry Potter was a remarkable achievement of its era, accomplishing what many deemed improbable, particularly as children's publishing seldom garnered international attention at that time. While popular series such as Goosebumps garnered substantial viewership, they were frequently regarded as mere light entertainment rather than significant cultural artifacts. Fantasy was regarded as a specialist genre, with Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings recognized as a classic, albeit predominantly limited to literary and genre communities. Amidst all of this, J.K. Rowling's narrative appeared unremarkable, given that it had faced rejection from numerous publishers before to being accepted by Bloomsbury. From the first, there was an inherent distinction in Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Educators observed that hesitant readers were consuming it eagerly. Librarians observed an increase in the length of waiting lists. Parents, anticipating to entertain their children with read-aloud sessions, became engrossed in the escapades of Harry, Hermione, and Ron. The book's essence resided in its accessibility. It combined the enchanting allure of a fairy tale with the intrigue of a mystery novel, situated within a meticulously crafted yet accessible magical realm. The prospect of receiving a letter from Hogwarts was captivating for children. The comedy and astute structuring rendered it significantly more captivating for adults than the majority of children's literature. Shortly, families expanded their reading beyond Harry Potter. They were experiencing it, deliberating on it, and disseminating it over dinner tables. By the time of the second installment, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, the excitement was unmistakable. Sales surged. Translations into several languages commenced, and J.K. received numerous accolades. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets intensifies the enchantment of the initial volume while introducing a sufficient degree of darkness to maintain suspense. The third novel, Prisoner of Azkaban, solidified the series' reputation as not merely a literary triumph, but a burgeoning cultural phenomenon. Children starting donning wizard costumes for Halloween, grasping improvised wands crafted from sticks. Educational institutions established reading clubs focused on literature, fostering connections through collective conjecture regarding potential plot developments. With the advent of the internet, initial message boards and fan sites emerged, populated with hypotheses, fan art, and forecasts. The definitive turning point occurred with the publication of Goblet of Fire in 2000. At this juncture, Harry Potter was not merely popular, it was commanding the worldwide arena. The book experienced an unparalleled initial printing of nearly 5 million copies in the United States alone. This week, advance orders for the new book in the US exceeded 1 million copies. To guarantee equity, publishers synchronized global release dates so that youngsters in London, New York, Sydney, and Tokyo could access the book simultaneously. The frenzy had officially commenced. The most evident indication of the profound enthusiasm for Harry Potter was the midnight book launches. Bookstores globally organized elaborate parties, with fans queuing for hours to be among the first to acquire the new volume, often in full costume. The ambience resembled that of a rock concert rather than a book launch. Children brandished wands, parents donned wizard hats, and towns converted their local bookstores into miniature Hogwarts for an evening. Pottermania extended beyond the youth demographic. Parents, educators, and even grandparents participated in the queues. Some parents read the books with their children, while others confessed to surreptitiously reading portions in advance during the children's slumber. Renowned Harry Potter. One cannot visit a bookstore without attracting significant attention. In a society where reading was frequently perceived as an individual pursuit, Harry Potter transformed it into a communal experience, elevating book premieres to collective cultural events. The cross-generational allure allowed families to collectively appreciate the novels. Parents raised on Tolkien or Roald Dahl now connected with their children through Harry, Hermione, and Ron. Book clubs that formerly concentrated on literary fiction were abruptly dedicating their meetings to Harry Potter. Newspapers released editorials examining the series' symbolism, while scholars contested its moral and philosophical foundations. At that time, regardless of whether you had read the books, you were familiar with the names of the Hogwarts houses, could identify Harry's lightning bolt scar, and had at least heard of Quidditch. The book's success was indisputable, necessitating the assignment of distinct visages to the characters beyond pages' depiction. The enchantment of Hogwarts is depicted on screen. Upon Warner Brothers acquiring the picture rights to the book, global excitement intensified significantly. For numerous enthusiasts, the announcement of a film adaptation was simultaneously exhilarating and daunting. On one side, it vowed to actualize the enchantment of Hogwarts in a manner they had only envisioned while reading. Conversely, the stakes were elevated. Countless youngsters and adults around possessed profoundly intimate images of Harry, Hermione, and Ron in their minds. Everyone anxiously speculated if Hollywood could adequately represent them. The casting process of the film adaptation attracted considerable criticism. Who would represent Harry Potter? Which child could feasibly bear the burden of portraying a character that had already attained cultural icon status before to its movie debut? The search was protracted and exhausting. Casting directors meticulously searched educational institutions throughout the UK, intent on discovering actors that not only resembled the characters but could also encapsulate the essence of J.K.'s creations. Numerous children auditioned, although none appeared suitable for the lightning-scarred hero until a young Daniel Radcliffe captured the attention of director Chris Columbus. Daniel's casting generated substantial media attention. The British media examined him critically. Fans deliberated on his resemblance to Harry, while parents questioned the ability of such a young youngster to manage the pressure. However, upon the emergence of his round spectacles and earnest visage in promotional images, numerous doubts were quelled. For millions of children, he became their Harry, the tangible manifestation of a character they had cherished in literature. The casting of Hermione Granger and Ron Weasley was equally dramatic. Emma Watson, with her eloquent charisma, and Rupert Grint, with his innate comedic timing, swiftly captivated audiences. The trio cultivated a relationship that infused the pictures with emotional depth. Additional pivotal performances, including Richard Harris as the sagacious Dumbledore and Alan Rickman's indelible portrayal of Severus Snape, enhanced the adaptation's allure beyond anticipation. The cast was not only robust but also iconic. Upon the release of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone by Warner Brothers in 2001, the fervor surrounding the books intensified significantly. Children who had been raised with J.K.'s words suddenly witnessed their transformation into magnificent images. The towering turrets of Hogwarts, the animated staircases, and the magical banquet in the Great Hall all became animated. Suddenly, the wizarding realm beyond the boundaries of mere imagination. It was a being that could be perceived, auditory discerned, and credibly acknowledged. The film's release transcended a mere blockbuster premiere. It was regarded as an international holiday. Red carpet events in London and New York attracted substantial audiences, while pre-sale ticket transactions set new records. Families that had queued for books at midnight were now queuing for movie tickets, frequently adorned in gowns and wielding wands. The film was a commercial success, generating about $1 billion globally. Moreover, it broadened the audience significantly beyond mere readers. Children who had not engaged with books or were not enthusiastic readers became rapidly captivated by the frenzy after the film's release. The narrative of Harry Potter was no longer restricted to libraries and bedrooms, it had evolved into a cultural phenomenon. The premiere of each successive picture became into a significant media spectacle, intensifying the enthusiasm that originated with the novels. Following the release of Chamber of Secrets in 2002, audiences returned to witness the youthful cast's maturation in their roles. In Prisoner of Azkaban, released 2 years later, director Alfonso Cuarón injected a darker, more somber tone, indicating that the franchise will evolve in tandem with its fans. This progression maintained fan engagement, enabling this series to retain the original group of children who began reading the books in the late 1990s while simultaneously attracting new enthusiasts. Each film transcended mere enjoyment. The discourse was worldwide. Tabloids analyzed behind-the-scenes rumors. Enthusiasts meticulously analyzed trailers for insights, while internet discussions thrived with conjecture over the fidelity of the forthcoming installment to the source material. The films did not supplant the texts. They were augmenting them, providing fans with additional perspectives for analysis and discourse. Merchandise associated with the flicks also surged. Children could suddenly own movie-accurate wands, house robes, and action figures resembling the actors they seen on screen. The collaboration among the books, films, and merchandise guaranteed that Pottermania became a continuous phenomenon, no longer dependent solely on book release dates. Instead, it became perpetual, refreshed with each new movie poster release or teaser trailer unveiling. One of the most distinctive features of the Harry Potter films was the real-time aging of the youthful performers in parallel with their characters. Fans observed Daniel, Emma, and Rupert transition from childhood to adolescence and ultimately to adulthood, paralleling the travels of Harry, Hermione, and Ron. This concurrent evolution fostered an atypical connection between the cast and the audience. For numerous followers, the actors transcended mere performance, becoming partners who matured in parallel with them. Children who commenced elementary school with the release of Sorcerer's Stone graduated high school concurrently with the debut of Deathly Hallows Part 2. This collective maturation fostered a profound personal connection to the franchise. The adult actors provided the movie with a following that transcended typical children's entertainment. Actors such as Maggie Smith, Gary Oldman, and Ralph Fiennes infused their roles with Shakespearean gravitas, captivating adult audience members alongside their children. The combination of emerging stars and experienced veterans maintained the franchise's credibility for an entire decade. The actors themselves attained international celebrity status. Their faces are universally identifiable. With each release, the premieres expanded, the queues at theaters lengthened, and the global box office records escalated. While audiences were enthralled by the on-screen presentation, numerous activities transpired behind the scenes, including casting decisions, on-set interactions, creative choices, and concealed Easter eggs that would be disclosed later. Confidential information from the ensembles. Things fans did not witness on film. The Harry Potter novels and films enthralled global audiences, who eagerly consumed every part of the narrative, from Harry's inaugural visit to Diagon Alley to the climactic fight at Hogwarts. While millions were captivated by the on-screen enchantment, numerous details transpired beyond visibility. Spontaneous instances, nuanced performance decisions, and anecdotes from behind the scenes that emerged only years later, when the cast commenced disseminating them. These disclosures, frequently disregarded during the initial excitement, have subsequently evolved into valued insights for fans re-examining the films with renewed perspective. One of the most astonishing disclosures from the cast is the number of memorable scenes that were not included in the screenplay. Daniel Radcliffe once acknowledged that several idiosyncrasies of Harry, such as habit of adjusting his glasses, or from necessity rather than directorial guidance. The glasses persistently slid throughout filming, and rather than interrupting the scene, he integrated the movement into Harry's characterization. This grew so instinctive that numerous admirers assumed it was a conscious acting decision, embodying Harry's bashful discomfort. Rupert Grint also infused his own nuances into the character of Ron Weasley. His recurrent anxious laughter and awkward gestures were not consistently included in the script. A significant portion of Ron's comedic timing was improvised, imparting the character warmth and relatability that transcends the written word. Emma Watson, in contrast, notably infused her Miami experience with her characteristic know-it-all demeanor. Directors urged her to embrace her innate intelligence and precocity, leading to line delivery that appeared more incisive and genuine than expected. Even trivial exchanges occasionally stemmed from improvisation. Tom Felton disclosed that in initial moments, he intentionally sneered or rolled his eyes at Daniel and Rupert to generate tension, which the cameras captured effectively. The rapport between the actors extended beyond the script. It developed organically from light-hearted competitions and authentic camaraderie among the cast. A prevalent theme in these admissions is that the wizarding realm, despite its cinematic allure, was not exempt from misfortunes, accidents, and even sorrow. Consider the Hogwarts Express, for example. For millions of enthusiasts, it represented the commencement of adventure, but, in actuality, it was twice subjected to genuine vandalism. In 2003, pranksters successfully adorned a section of the train with silver and green graffiti when it was stationed at a depot. Several years later, another group shattered multiple windows with emergency hammers, necessitating expensive repairs and serving as a reminder to all. Even cinematic icons were not impervious to adolescent recklessness. Daniel Radcliffe admitted to experiencing a perilous incident while filming the underwater scene for the Triwizard Tournament in Goblet of Fire. During a single take, he inadvertently signaled the scuba crew incorrectly, signaling he was out of air instead of merely affirming that all was well. Trainers expedited his ascent to the surface, and although the incident concluded without injury, it highlighted the physical demands and hazards inherent in certain magical sequences for young actors who appeared serene and composed on screen. Not all behind-the-scenes narratives concluded so innocuously. In 2009, David Holmes, Daniel's stunt double, sustained severe injuries while executing a challenging stunt during filming. A managed detonation during an aerial scenario malfunctioned, resulting in his descent to the ground and rendering him paraplegic from the chest down. David had been involved with the project from its inception, and his injury served as a stark reminder of the genuine hazards associated with fantasy filmmaking. Notwithstanding the tragedy, he has maintained a close relationship with Radcliffe and Tom Felton, who often expressed their admiration for his fortitude. During the climactic fight at Hogwarts in Deathly Hallows, a pyrotechnic malfunction ignited a fire that consumed a portion of the castle model. Over 100 crew members rushed to suppress the fire. Despite no injuries occurring and the damage being confined to an area scheduled for reconstruction, newspapers sensationally reported that Hogwarts had been engulfed in flames. For the team, it was merely another day in the capricious realm of filming, albeit one that felt unsettlingly fitting considering the devastation they were tasked with portraying. Comedian Rick Mayall was originally selected to portray Peeves the Poltergeist. However, his performance was so uproariously amusing that the young performers were unable to maintain a serious demeanor whenever he was present on site. Despite being instructed to deliver his lines with his back turned, Mayall's antics had the children in fits of laughter, resulting in chaos during the show. Ultimately, his scenes were excised, resulting in Peeves' absence from the finished films. However, fans continue to conjecture about the potential outcomes had his energy remained in the mix. Occasionally, the most unforgettable experiences are those that are unanticipated. In the notorious incident at Azkaban, where Hermione strikes Draco, Emma Watson was intended to perform a gentle slap. Instead, possibly ensnared by the scene's intensity, she delivered a complete punch to Tom Felton's face. Tom then jested that she has an unexpectedly powerful hook and conceded that he was unsettled by the unforeseen impact. Subsequently acknowledged a unique camaraderie during the filming process. Admitted she harbored a youthful infatuation for Tom, a fact that fans had not anticipated at the time. One of the most renowned behind-the-scenes disclosures originated from Alan Rickman, who played Severus Snape. While viewers deliberated for years on whether Snape was a hero or a villain, Alan was privy to the truth early on via J.K. Rowling herself. He was aware of Snape's complete character development, including his affection for Lily Potter, well before the publication of the final volumes. This first-hand knowledge influenced all of his nuanced acting decisions. Fans now re-examine his scenes with renewed appreciation, observing how he infused moments of sensitivity or doubt into his typically aloof manner. A lingering gaze at Harry, a brief pause prior to articulating a pointed remark, these subtleties were imperceptible at the moment, yet really resonate once the complete narrative is understood. Daniel Radcliffe subsequently acknowledged that, as a young actor, he failed to comprehend Alan's rationale for executing specific situations in his distinctive manner. It was only after discovering the reality in subsequent years that he acknowledged Alan had been meticulously establishing the foundation from the outset. The actors have been forthright on the substantial pressure of meeting fan expectations. Daniel Radcliffe frequently articulated the intimidation associated with embodying such a cherished persona. He was merely 11 years old when selected. Nevertheless, the world imposed the responsibility of Harry Potter upon him, and he said that he occasionally questioned his ability to sustain the series. Emma Watson said that she experienced significant pressure to portray Hermione, a heroine who had already established herself as a role model for millions of young readers. She incessantly fretted over her adequacy for the role. Ironically, her perfectionism reflected Hermione's, enhancing the authenticity of her portrayal. Rupert Grint admitted that he frequently felt eclipsed by his co-stars, concerned that Ron was perceived merely as the comedic sidekick. It was only subsequently that he acknowledged the emotional profundity Ron contributed to the three, particularly in the later films. Daniel Radcliffe has expressed fondness for his mentorship with Richard Harris, the original Dumbledore, who provided direction and laughter on production prior to his death in 2002. Following Michael Gambon's assumption of the role, the dynamic altered, yet he retained Richard's teachings. The actors was not the sole entity to disclose nuanced behind-the-scenes enhancements, as even J.K. Rowling and several directors incorporated little Easter eggs that enhanced the narrative's popularity and included neglected nuances. The cast's behind-the-scenes revelations enriched the Harry Potter narrative, while the author and directors intricately crafted a tapestry of mysteries, hints, and nuances from the first. Numerous elements were imperceptible to audiences captivated by the fervor of book launches and major cinematic debuts. However, years later, they have been revealed by insiders and even J.K. herself. The Harry Potter universe was not merely entertaining, it was intricate, crafted to reward astute readers and re-examinations with concealed profundities. J.K. Rowling gained prominence due to her thorough strategizing. She once confessed that she meticulously planned the series years before to its completion, delineating timelines and family trees to guarantee coherence in every element. This degree of forethought ensured that small clues introduced in earlier texts did not yield results until significantly later. A notable example is the inaugural book. In The Sorcerer's Stone, Professor Quirrell nonchalantly states that Snape possesses extensive knowledge of counter curses. Initially, it appears to be a trivial element. Nevertheless, by the time of the Deathly Hallows, it becomes evident that Snape's proficiency in defensive spells is vital to his character and to Harry's survival. In Chamber of Secrets, Tom Riddle's diary presents the notion of Horcruxes prior to the term's elucidation. At that time, readers saw the journal merely as another accursed artifact. Subsequently, JKK disclosed it as the inaugural Horcrux that Harry discovers, presaging Voldemort's trajectory towards immortality. She also implanted nuanced hints regarding Harry himself. From the outset, his capacity to articulate Parseltongue suggested the presence of a portion of Voldemort's soul within him. Although fans perceived it as merely an impressive magical ability, revisiting the text's post-revelation starkly illuminates that the indications were evident from the outset. Even minute aspects bore concealed significance. In Prisoner of Azkaban, the monikers of Harry's father and his companions, the Marauders, appear to be whimsical aliases: Moony, Wormtail, Padfoot, and Prongs. Upon reflection, these names are meticulously selected to reflect their animagus forms and Remus Lupin's lycanthropy. These Easter eggs rewarded meticulous observation for discerning readers. She appreciated infusing significance into her character names, although numerous admirers did not recognize the allusions until thereafter. Remus Lupin's name serves as a dual reference, with Remus alluding to the Roman story of Romulus and Remus, twin siblings nurtured by a she-wolf. Lupin derives from lupus, the Latin term for wolf, and his werewolf status was conspicuously concealed. Sirius Black's name alludes to the dog star in the constellation Canis Major, explicitly indicating his animagus form. Severus Snape's name, characterized by its incisive and sibilant quality, conveys a sense of threat, while Severus translates to stern in Latin. Malfoy translates approximately to mauvais foi in French. For casual readers, these names only contributed to the world building. However, for the observant, they served as puzzle pieces revealing profound truths about the characters. With the advent of the films, directors and set designers took pleasure in incorporating concealed elements into the wizarding world. The animated portraits on the walls of Hogwarts frequently portray minor witches and wizards from J.K. Rowling's comprehensive mythology. Observant viewers may discern individuals such as Barnabas the Barmy or Elizabeth Burke in the background. Names that ardent enthusiasts identify from the literature. In Prisoner of Azkaban, Alfonso Cuarón notably urged the set designers to incorporate intricate details, anticipating that viewers will rewatch the film and uncover new elements with each viewing. An exemplary instance is the emergence of the Marauder's map. In addition to displaying footprints, it features hidden elements, such as two background characters embracing in a secluded area. Or the prolonged presence of Peter Pettigrew's name prior to his revelation as Scabbers. The picture incorporates amusing allusions. In Chamber of Secrets, after Harry and Ron collide the flying Ford Anglia with the Whomping Willow, a license plate displaying 7-9-9-0TD can be observed, which is suggested to allude to J.K. Rowling and UK automobile register lore. The registration number of Rowling's vehicle. It served as a provocation to insiders, unnoticed by casual admirers. Beyond nomenclature and narrative mechanisms, she developed her characters with nuanced attributes that frequently escaped observation. For instance, Hermione's advocacy for house elves in Goblet of Fire appeared to be a humorous subplot. Numerous readers deemed it inconsequential. Nonetheless, it genuinely illustrates her ethical framework and foreshadows her subsequent involvement in combating structural inequalities within the wizarding realm. Neville Longbottom is a character whose significance may be easily overlooked. Initially depicted as inept or timid in the earlier volumes, his evolution into a valiant hero in Deathly Hallows represents his ultimate change. J.K. had alluded to Neville's understated fortitude in previous volumes, exemplified by his resolve to confront his peers in Sorcerer's Stone, a quality that even Dumbledore has commended. For fans revisiting the narrative with foresight, his journey appears predetermined. The Weasley twins possessed multiple layers of significance. Their pranks and jokes concealed instances of unexpected wisdom, frequently providing Harry with the tools or confidence required at critical occasions. Their ingenuity with enchanted artifacts provided audiences with an initial insight of their future as entrepreneurs, transforming their antics into a lasting legacy. J.K.'s affection for symbolic artifacts also introduced complexities that followers frequently disregard. Harry's wand, for example, contains a phoenix feather core identical to Voldemort's, intertwining their destinies from the outset. Initially, this appears to be a simple narrative mechanism to elucidate the peculiar interactions of their spells, yet, as the series unfolds, it evolves into a significant metaphor for their intertwined fate. The invisibility cloak, once perceived as an entertaining magical artifact, ultimately reveals itself as one of the Deathly Hallows. Its inclusion in the inaugural volume was her sowing the seeds for the series' eventual culmination. Few readers could have anticipated its relevance until the revelation in Book 7, rendering its re-emergence retrospectively astonishing. The Mirror of Erised in Sorcerer's Stone functions as more than a mere humorous magical artifact. It conveys the subject of yearning and aspiration, alluding to Harry's perpetual conflict between individual fulfillment and altruistic obligation. Various directors embedded their distinctive Easter eggs throughout the flicks. Chris Columbus relied significantly on fidelity to the source material, frequently replicating situations with meticulous precision. In contrast, Alfonso Cuarón incorporated atmospheric elements, such as the Whomping Willow, to signify the changing seasons in Prisoner of Azkaban. David Yates, who helmed the last 4 films, consistently employed color palettes and lighting to reflect the characters' emotional states. These were subtle hints that many viewers could not consciously perceive, yet experienced profoundly. For instance, as the narrative progresses toward darkness, the colors transition from the warm golden radiance of early Hogwarts to the stark, desaturated tones of the Deathly Hallows. Observers engrossed in the narrative may have overlooked this transition, yet it quietly influenced their perception of the protagonist's escalating sorrow. Harry Potter is a narrative that has triumphed in both literature and cinema, continually providing more value to people who revisit or engage with it. What is your opinion? Did you identify any concealed clues prior to this? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. Thank you for your viewership. To experience further thrilling videos, initiate playback of the video displayed on your screen. Additionally, please remember to like, subscribe, and activate the notification bell. You will receive a notification upon the publication of a new video.